morning, guys. Hope you're feeling good. The lack of conscientiousness is often caused by a lack of gratitude. Okay? What does that mean? Well, have you ever noticed that someone who is oftentimes maybe ungrateful, or maybe let's think about it as a kid, right? It's very easy for a kid to be ungrateful in certain ways because they haven't experienced much of life. They haven't gone through much in general. They haven't experienced what it's like to be without. So they haven't exactly learned the need to be grateful at times. Okay? That you can easily see how those children don't have much conscientiousness. They're not very conscious in many ways just yet, right? They're still forming their beliefs of the world. Right? So it's easy to see how it should be easy to see how that is easy to understand the lack of gratitude, right? We have a lack of gratitude when we don't understand where what we have fits into the world, right? The children that haven't experienced a ton, they're still learning and developing how to be in this life. They're much more likely to not see why they should be grateful, not see how they could not have what they do have if situations were different. Now, this is no fault to the child. It's something they have to learn, right? It's something they have to pick up on. It is a level of consciousness that they have to be taught, that they have to ingrain in themselves. And of course, this has a lot to do with how they're raised. You should be raised to have gratitude, respect, honesty, appreciation. That's what I believe, and when I see that not being taught to children, I see a lot of issues that arise from it. But what makes me think of this? Well, in my experience and some friends' experience, and people, when you just look around, it's easy to see being ungrateful, being unable to see the reasons I should be or my friends should be grateful directly leads to them not being very conscientious, them not understanding really where they're at in the world and how all of our efforts and actions make a difference, right? Because that's kind of what conscientiousness is. Conscientiousness is like realizing that there's something outside of you and it all matters. Like, it's not just what matters to you. It's not just what your ego says is important. It is the fact that everything outside of you is absolutely just as important in a way, right? But that doesn't mean that, like, it's like seeing yourself outside of the standards, or seeing your, okay, it's like your understanding of the world isn't defined directly by you. Like, you can see the world as it is more than what your emotions or your ego says that it is, right? It's not just thinking about everybody else. It's not like anxiety, because there's plenty of anxious people who, like me when I was anxious originally, who aren't very conscientious, right? But they're always thinking about other people, right? Conscientiousness is like, in the grand scheme of things, like, I can see what matters, like, to the world, to the universe, to the most people, like, to the, right? And for good reason, not bad reason, right? That's kind of like a brief understanding of conscientiousness. So why do I bring it up? Why is that important? Why is conscientiousness important? Conscientiousness is what allows you to set yourself apart in your own individual way and make a difference in your own battle, in your own life, for the best, right? You see, when we're not conscientious and we fall into the trap of society, we don't believe ourselves to be truly important. We don't see our actions and our thoughts and our ideas as relevant to anything unless our ego is fueling it, right? And that's not the same thing. Our ego can make us feel important. Our ego can make us feel relevant. But our ego, until it's tamed and taught and transcended, it's not coming from the right place. Right? It's coming from a place of lack. It's coming from a lower standard of ourself that we've built as a defense mechanism. Right? So we don't want to come from that place. We want to come from the soul. We want to be conscientious at soul level. We want to be able to reproduce the ideas that come into our mind in our own energetic way, right? In our own soul's way of expressing it on the world. And that's a progressive realization, guys. I'm not saying you got to figure this out in one day whatsoever. It's a lifelong journey, and it's something to be grateful for. But until you have the gratitude for your present moment, until you have the gratitude for what you do have, it's very difficult to be conscientious enough to make a difference. And this is something that shifts as well. I've watched and seen how different events happen, different situations come into arise, and your gratitude naturally lessens because you haven't implemented it into your daily. It's not a part of your self-regulation. Like, you felt it at times because you know you should be grateful, but it's not part of your. If it's not part of your self-regulation, it's very easy to fall out of consciousness whenever events happen, stress happens, life happens. And when that happens, when the stress comes, and the stress is really meant to make you grateful to begin with. That's the real lesson. But the stress comes, and you don't know internally that you should have gratitude, and you lose the gratitude. Well, then you're falling down the ranks of conscientiousness. Slowly but surely, you begin to complain and feel more pain, and feel worse about the pain, react worse to the pain. Simply because you're not grateful for where you were at. You're not grateful for the pain to begin with. You're not grateful for your situation. You can believe whatever you want. There's the ideas in, I guess, Christianity that is, everything happens for a reason. God's always got a plan for you. I've always believed that, even though I haven't always been a very devout religious person whatsoever, and I'm more spiritual than anything at this point. I've always had in the back of my mind that everything happens for a reason, good or bad. You could have caused it, and that could be the reason. But that there is a plan, there is a destiny, so to say. Even before I had a concept of God, and throughout my process of understanding what God is to me, I began to understand the different divinities and where we're supposed to go. But if it wasn't for gratitude, I wouldn't have been able to see it. If it wasn't for accepting where I was truly at and why I was there, and being grateful for it all, I wouldn't have been able to be any bit more of open-minded to the things that could help me, to the situations and the things I should be grateful for. Right? When you're limited to a lower state of consciousness because you aren't grateful, you are extremely limited to which you can express yourself in the world. And that manifests in its own way. It's you only can be manifested, you can only be expressed in material substances and things of the physical world, rather than true soul expression, true connection, true self coming out, which is what all of our goals should actually be. And it is deep down, but whether we realize it or not, we want to be expressed. We want to express ourselves. That is very naturally human. But are we expressing our soul? Are we expressing the ego? Are we expressing the lower sides of ourselves because they're simply in control and not because we allow them to be expressed? I hope this is making sense. If you're getting something from this, just let me know below. Let me know what you think. If you got some ideas from this, of course, let me know. Drop a like, subscribe, guys. Send this to someone who might need it. We're just going to keep doing the thing, man. We're just going to keep it on, creating and being the people we need to be, manifesting all of which we desire and should have and want for the world. Because why not? Because we can. Because it's beautiful, brother. It's Saturday here. I hope you have an amazing day. I hope you go and crush everything you should. I hope you live a life of passion, purpose, and fulfillment, and power, and success, and joy, and love. You got this, guys. Let's get going.